This water looks clean. Clear, transparent, almost drinkable. But here's the problem. Looks can be very misleading. Because most people think, if you pour dirty water through charcoal, it becomes safe. Simple, right? That's what almost every survival tip video tells you. Just take charcoal, put it in a bottle, pour water, and you're done. But what if I told you that method fails most of the time? Not slightly fails, completely fails. And the worst part is, it gives you a false sense of safety, because the water looks clean. But what's actually happening inside is very different. So before we fix anything, let's test the way most people do it. This is the basic charcoal filter you've probably seen. Bottle, and some charcoal, and dirty water. Nothing complicated. Now watch closely. Dirty water goes in from the top, and within seconds, it starts coming out from the bottom, faster than you expected. And yeah, it does look a little cleaner, less muddy, less cloudy. But here's the real question. Is it actually filtered or did it just pass through? Because filtration is not about making water look clean. It's about removing what you can't see. Bacteria, fine particles, contaminants, things that don't just disappear because water changed color. And that's where this method starts to break. Look at the speed. The water is flowing too fast. There's no resistance, no slowing down, no proper contact time. Which means, yes, the charcoal doesn't actually do its job. It's like trying to clean something without giving it time to work. Now, here's another mistake. Most people use large chunks of charcoal, big pieces, thinking bigger, chuck better. But in reality, that makes it even worse, because less surface area means less filtration. Water just slips through the gaps, untouched, unfiltered. And then comes the biggest mistake of all. No layers, no structure, no system, just charcoal, sitting there doing almost nothing. So what you get at the end is water that looks better, but isn't truly clean. And that's dangerous. Because now you trust it, you think it worked, when in reality it didn't. So the real question is, if this is wrong, then what actually works? Because charcoal can filter water, but only if it's used the right way. And the difference between wrong and right is bigger than most people think. So if the basic method fails, what actually works? The answer is simple. Structure. Because filtration is not about one material. It's about how multiple layers work together, each one doing a specific job. And when they're placed correctly, everything changes. So let's rebuild this from the ground up, not randomly, but the right way. Start from the bottom, because that's where your filtered water will come out. The first layer isn't charcoal. It's something much simpler. Cloth, or any fine material that can act as a base. Its job is not to clean the water. It's there to stop everything else from falling through. Without this, your entire system collapses. Now comes the charcoal, but not like before. Not big chunks, not loose pieces. You need it crushed. Smaller pieces. More surface area. Because charcoal doesn't block dirt. It absorbs impurities, and the more surface it has, the more it can absorb. This is where actual filtration begins. But it still isn't enough, because charcoal alone can't control the flow of water. So now we add the next layer. Sand. This is what most people skip, and it's the reason their filter fails. Sand slows everything down. It forces the water to move carefully, not rush through. And while it moves, it traps smaller particles that charcoal misses. Now the system starts working together. Not just one layer, but multiple stages of filtration. And finally, the top layer, gravel. At first, this might seem unnecessary, but it plays a critical role. When you pour water directly onto sand, it disturbs the surface, creates channels, breaks the system. But gravel spreads the water evenly. It controls the flow from the very beginning. So every drop goes through the entire process. The right way. Now watch this again. Same dirty water. Nothing changed, except the structure. This time, the water doesn't rush. It moves slowly, layer by layer, being filtered step by step. And when it comes out, look at the difference. Clear, stable, consistent. Not perfect, but much cleaner than before. Because now, It actually went through a system. Not just charcoal, but a process. And that's the difference most people never learn. They focus on the material, but ignore the method. And in survival, method is everything. Now here's something important. This still doesn't make water 100% safe to drink. It removes a lot, but not everything. Bacteria and pathogens can still remain. So if you can, you should always boil it after, or use additional purification because this is a filter, not a complete solution. But when you have nothing else, this can make a huge difference. And that's why this method matters. Not because it's perfect, but because it works when most things don't. So the next time you see someone just pouring water through charcoal, you'll know exactly why it fails, and more importantly, how to fix it because now you understand the system.